The 1960s, from the first moon landing to Vietnam, and plenty of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Marty Angelo was known as one of the top music industry executives. He partied with some of the greatest rock legends, but it came at a high price. Marty, as I often do when I'm researching someone's background,
yes,
when they have a book, I read it. I read yours, Once Life Matters. And then I got to the back of the book and I was flipping through some pictures, and there's a picture of a club in New York City called The Scene.
Right.
And it was owned by a guy named Steve Paul.
Yes.
And that's where my wife Nedra and I had our wedding reception.
Get out.
At
the
out.
Scene?
That's going back in time. And here we both sit, living and breathing. As a child, Marty Angelo listened to rock music and dreamed of singing in a rock and roll band. Instead, Marty managed a band called The Raven and opened for big bands at Buffalo's top night spots.
This group was good, and I knew good musicians, but I knew that they weren't going anywhere in Buffalo, that no one was making it out of that town. And so the logical thing would be to go to New York.
So Marty took a trip to New York City to a popular club called The Scene.
When I went in there, I was seeing rock stars. I mean, not just people that were walking around like you would meet in a bar, but these were Janis Joplin, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and walks by Jimi Hendrix. And I went up to him and I said, Jimmy, would you like to hear a good band? And I figured he'd say, man, get out of here. No, he says, yeah, sure, I'd love to.
He put his blessing, so to
well,
speak, on.
Yeah, I mean, and Jimmy was like that.
And sadly enough, of course, Jimi Hendrix died subsequent to all that. And that's the world you moved into. You moved into that music scene and the accompanying lifestyle, the drugs, the booze, the broads, the, you know, sex, drugs, rock and roll, the whole deal, right?
You know, I didn't know that there was a title to it but at that time, but yes, I walked right into it blindly.
With Hendrix's endorsement, the Raven became the nightclub's hottest band. The group eventually signed a recording contract with Columbia Records and released their debut album. Marty had finally hit the big time.
But I got introduced to John Lennon through a friend of mine. John was the first one. When I first met him out here, he had a little bag of heroin, and he said, this is the finest heroin in the world. And so I did it with him. We snorted it.
When his group, The Ravens, split up, Marty managed other bands. He also started selling drugs, and he stayed high for days at a time. You got to a point where you must have been in such despair, so dejected, despondent, etc., that you literally tried suicide, not just once, a couple times.
A couple times, yeah. Because I saw my whole life just complete mess, and I said, that's it, I got to get out of this life.
Marty's sister began sending him gospel tracts in the mail. Then she sent him a tape about the music industry.
The clincher was, if you don't serve God, you serve the devil. You're already serving the devil if you don't serve God. And I thought, well, I know I'm not serving God. But I never met the devil. He never gave me a paycheck. Maybe I should find him somewhere. Maybe he's got some money he owes me or something. I didn't understand, but that cut right through me.
With no bands to manage or records to promote, Marty was out of a job. He turned back to using and selling drugs.
I was visiting some friends in Florida, and they were already under investigation as being drug dealers. And so I walked right into this thing. It was already 2 months into the investigation, so when they found me, they figured they had this big music business connection, and so I got arrested.
Busted.
Busted. 4 ounces of cocaine in my pocket.
Marty was in the crisis of his life. He turned to his sister for help. Before he was indicted, she invited him to come and visit her.
I just said, look, I don't know what to do, and if you tell me that I can meet this Jesus right now, I'm going to meet him. Yes, I do. I'm a sinner. They asked me if I was a sinner. I said, yes, I am. They said, are you willing to turn from your sins? I said, please, yes. Tell me how. And they said, now listen, Marty, we're going to lay our hands on you. So they laid their hands on me, and all of a sudden, 3 loud clashes of thunder, and lightning came right through this house.
Oh, come on.
At the same time.
Come on.
And it felt like and it surged through my body 3 times, each time.
Thunder, lightning?
Thunder, lightning. It was like, now I know it's kind of like a Damascus Road experience because
I'd say so.
I was not looking for this.
Did you ever go back to drugs?
No. And God took the desire away and delivered me from it.
Do you have to still have to go to prison?
2 weeks later, I get indicted. I go, wait a minute. I thought I was, is God going to leave me now? Is that it?
But God was with him. Instead of serving a 60-year prison term, Marty was sentenced to 6 years and only served 2.5 years.
I was happy. I was at peace. I never had peace in my life.
In this conversation, we talked about Jimi Hendrix, who's dead. We talked about John Lennon, who is dead. We talked about George Harrison, who is dead. There are many other names of people that crossed my path, our paths in New York City and in this business. Why are you sitting here?
By the grace of God. God had a plan for my life.
Marty now shares Jesus with inmates across the country. He wants them to understand the power of God to change lives. Even the people now who may be watching this, listening to this, who are gone the drug route, fame, fortune, success, the whole deal.
I would just ask them to change their prayer to whatever it takes.
Wow.
You know, that's faith, you know, because whatever it takes just leaves God the open door.